If I stay right by you, I'm stuck looking for a way.
Oh, coming at you here from the ATX, it's the Box to Box Radio Podcast. Back from Mission in Mexico, it's your boy, Mason Carmichael, on the mic, hosting again. To my right, Mr. Travis Carmichael. Across from me, producer Chris on the mic. To my left, again, an empty chair where Travis Ade once sat. He is, believe it or not, at a baseball game today. He's at the College World Series, which I didn't even know existed. And he's having a great time. So shout out to Travis Ade. We understand where your priorities lie, son. So sorry, not sorry. But we're going to do an experiment here in a minute. We're going to put a wooden plank on his chair and see if he offers hotter takes than Ade does. But
it's possible.
Anyway, guys, glad to be back. Of course, you can find us on all your favorite social media accounts. On Twitter, we're at B_B_radio. Instagram is box_radio. Facebook, just box radio. And of course, the best way to reach us is our email address, 90min@box2boxradio.com. Speaking of the at box2boxradio.com portion of that, producer Chris is working tirelessly on our website. So hopefully here within the next couple weeks, we should have that up and running. And guys, that will not only feature links to our podcast and our social media pages, but also a little bit of info about your lovely hosts and your lovely producer, as well as original articles from Mr. Ade and myself about the beautiful game that we love. So guys, be on the lookout for that. Also want to give a shout out to all the dads out there today for Father's Day. PC, of course, is a dad, and he's a wonderful dad. Sacrificed a lot of his time for this podcast for us, but is a really, really good father to his kids. And also, big shout out to Darth for half of the podcast wouldn't be here if it weren't for Darth. So shout out to him as well. Guys, we're on several streaming platforms. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and we're up on YouTube now as well. So 5 different ways for you guys to listen. If you're bold enough and you reach out, I might even come over to your house and do the show live for you right in front of your face if you want. So
I don't think we're capable of doing that.
I will.
Oh, okay.
I don't care what you guys do, but
he doesn't need us.
No, I need you guys. Come on. You guys managed so well without me, but while I was gone, there was one thing that you guys dropped the ball on, and it was incredibly awful. So the Friday before I left, there was a kit reveal party for FC Austin Elite, and I sent you guys a ton of pictures and videos to put on our social media. I get back, and lo and behold, 'twas not done. So I don't know who's getting fired.
The social media director that we pay a lot of money for that is getting axed.
Yeah, he's at a baseball game.
Oh, yeah, and he doesn't get paid a lot of money for it.
That's right. So, fair enough, but I want to apologize to...
What's half of 0? Oh, it's still 0.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's a little math. That's quick maths for you right there. Man's not hot. But I just want to apologize to Danny and the girls real quick. Guys, we'll post those pictures up there this week. Their kits are sick. Of course, at all their home games, you can buy their home jerseys. I believe Danny told me they were $40 for the home jersey, and it's pretty sweet. They're partnering with Umbro, and they look pretty nice. So we'll get those pics up. But boys, I'm back. I'm glad to be back. How you feeling?
Feeling great. Lots and lots and lots of soccer, and unfortunately you didn't get lost somewhere in Mexico, but you're back and annoying the masses with your voice. I'm just kidding. We missed you. We managed well, but glad you're back so you can do all the hard work and we can just relax and make some fire takes.
I wanted a ping from Mexico. I wanted
ping.
Yeah, I wanted something to say that somebody was listening in Mexico. So
I mean,
I was waiting for it.
He is the king of the ping.
Yeah, there you go.
King of the Ping. Yeah, speaking of King of the Ping, boys, I did get to play. Contrary to my doctor's advisement, I did play a little bit of footy while I was down there in Mexico with some kids. I played in goal, so I just kind of, and it really wasn't playing in goal. I just kind of stood there, and hopefully the ball hit me, but. The kids were laughing at me because
that's me every game of my entire
true,
life.
But you're 6'4".
Fair point.
So it's a little easier for you. But I was standing there and the kids were all like making fun of me because they're like, "Oh, why are you playing?" And so, lads, I had to show it to them. So I took the ball. We had a goal kick. I passed it to my center back and I said, "Hey, son, pass it back to me." Took it onto my left foot, which is me good foot, and I hit one from 40 upper bins.
Was your girlfriend there?
She was. She was
didn't
indeed.
Stop you?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. She was too busy hanging out with other kids. So, but guys,
do they make devices that can record video there in Mazatlan?
Yes, they do.
Did you get it on video?
No, because
Didn't
I was
happen.
too busy hanging out with orphans.
Didn't happen.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I was
right,
too busy
wow.
being in the moment and hanging out. So yeah, lovely trip. If you guys, this is a shameless plug here, and they don't give us any money or any support or anything. But if you guys ever get the opportunity to look up an organization called Back to Back Ministries, they're located in Cincinnati. They do great work. They're the ones that sent us down on the trip, and they're awesome. And they definitely need support as well. So if you guys could check them out, if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you're not, stick around because we got some soccer coming up too. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Boys, we're back, and a little birdie told me. A little birdie.
Was it a grackle?
It was a grackle.
Nice.
It flew down from the heavens and landed upon my shoulder when I was in Mexico. And it doth whispered in my ear.
Wouldn't that be a tweet?
Producer Chris, yeah.
A magical, metaphorical picture, and it's ruined.
I think it got better. Anyway, let's
Fair
go.
enough. All
Get
right.
on with it. We're 10
So-
minutes into the episode, man.
It squawks in my ear. How about that?
There we go.
Congratulations.
Hey, all right.
And it squawked in my ear that Austin FC has not only sold season ticket deposits this week. They didn't sell 5,000. They didn't sell 10,000, which would have been incredible. Not even 20,000, which would have been astounding. 30,000 people, over 30,000 people, put down a deposit for season tickets. And now we know that the stadium capacity is going to be a little bit over 20,000. So obviously not everyone that put in money is going to get a season ticket. But the fact that there are 30,000 people in a lottery to get season tickets and we're almost 2 years out from playing a game is incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. Obviously, you look at kind of MLS is one of the most expensive leagues in the world in any sport, nonetheless soccer. So we're super excited to have kind of a major league market here in Austin. And like I've always said, working with the youth is important to me and cultivating the love of the game. And nothing cultivates the love of the game more than being able to watch it locally at the highest possible level. So really excited for that.
I've lived here all my life, so I'm just really, really stoked for it. One of the biggest things to happen to Austin in a long time.
Fair enough. But yeah, boys, really, really looking forward to this big hype around it. And of course, you don't have to wait 2 years to get involved with Austin FC. You can go on their website and you can join the Anthem, get some really cool prize packs and get on their email list, and it'll give you access to a bunch of cool stuff and you can be the first to know. Also, if you are a lady and you like women's soccer, the Austin Anthem Ladybirds are hosting watching parties for the U.S. women's games. They've already had 2 for the first 2 matches. They have another one coming up for the women's match against Sweden. So for more information, you can go and follow them on Twitter, the Austin FC Ladybirds. They're awesome. So guys, really, really cool to see. One more little bit of news before we dive into the games. Producer Chris, I want to hear your reaction. So if y'all heard the away leg on Wednesday, they talked about there's a big possibility that Mauricio Sarri was leaving Chelsea, and would Chelsea be doomed after that? Now, ladies and gentlemen, that rumor has now come to fruition, and Sarri has been confirmed as Juve's next manager, which means the coaching job at Chelsea is vacant. So producer Chris, as a guy that bleeds blue, give us your thoughts on this.
There's a few issues with all of it.
Okay.
And as a Chelsea fan, I like and I dislike the idea of him leaving. He put them in the top 4.
True.
He did give them the Europa.
Also true.
But at the same time, I think that because of Chelsea's identity, they were not happy with the way that it turned out. Regardless of whether they won the trophy, I think the fans were the ones that complained the most. He left because of them. I mean, I think he did an okay job.
I'm going to come back at you and refute that a little bit. I don't even think it was the fans, because every Chelsea fan that I've talked to has liked Sarri. They're like, well, he wins us games.
Well, they didn't like him at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Did you not see all this stuff? Sorry ball is garbage. Sorry
Yeah,
ball.
that's
Sorry
what I'm
ball.
saying,
Sorry
yeah.
ball.
Okay, but I'm saying that I don't think it's as much as the fans as it is the ownership. So he did one thing completely wrong, which if you're going to be a Chelsea manager, and he did not play ball with the ownership. So he's like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my own thing, I'm going to say whatever I want, I'm going to make my own decisions, I'm going to throw the ownership under the bus because it's my way or the highway. And guess what? he didn't feel like he was respected at Chelsea, so he left. But
Antonio Conte was the same way.
exactly, and look what happened with Conte, right? He's now the manager of Inter Milan, and they're in the Champions League. Same thing with Sarri. A year ago, when he took the Chelsea job from Napoli, he had never won a trophy before. He now has a trophy with Chelsea. He won the Europa League, and he gets to manage one of the top 3 clubs in the world. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he left, but
of course.
Chelsea is a really, really screwed up club right now, man. They're in a poor state.
No, I think Sarri's leaving has a little bit to do with everything. So, look, he's kind of reading the tea leaves there a little bit. He sees, oh man, the fans haven't really liked me. Oh man, the ownership and I don't really get along. Oh man, I can't buy players for the next 2 to 3 years.
That I think was the biggest one.
That's a big one, yeah.
That was the
one of the
biggest.
best clubs in the world wants me to coach for them. Yeah, let's go.
And you have Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
So I think it's brilliant from Sarri. I think Chelsea was not very intelligent to hire him in the first place, and I think the fact, and we could talk about this forever, so we'll kind of leave it, but I think Juventus offering him the job is the dumbest thing Juventus have ever done.
I don't think that he's going to fit for Ronaldo more than anything.
I don't think he'll fit for a lot of reasons, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, and boys, one more thing before we move on from this. Yesterday was the anniversary of Frankie Lampard signing for Chelsea. Do with that what you will. I think Super Frank, and Ben Hammonds, longtime listener, thinks that Super Frank is going to be the next guy that takes over.
I hope so, because he's going to get him relegated. You're talking about a guy who, and look.
Did you not think that Derby team punched above their weight for the talent on the roster?
Listen, and I agree with you. He did unbelievably well. He did better than expected 1 year at Derby. Tactically, he knows he's one of the best players of all time. He knows his tactics. But you're telling me you're going to give a guy who has 1 year experience as a manager at a top level, and now he's competing with the best clubs in the world, and you're going to give him the job? So here's the keys to the Porsche. Don't wreck it. If he didn't play for Chelsea, and it's a guy with the exact same amount of experience, even if he played at the same level, no matter where else, it gets laughed out of the room. He's not even remotely in the conversation. So he's getting the job, or potentially getting the job, solely because of his playing career. And it's the same thing as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but Solskjaer has more managing experience.
I think it's the most similar to Thierry Henry, if I'm being honest, right?
Yeah, and look how that went.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Lampard. Lampard actually has success as a first-team manager.
In the championship for 1 year. And I agree, he had a great year. But it's the championship. It's not the Premier League.
But he played in the Premier League. So
but
he knows,
playing and managing are not even
takes.
remotely close to the same
That's
thing.
true, but here's my thing too, right? So you talked a couple minutes ago about Chelsea's restrictions for next season, right? So why not take a gamble on a guy that knows the ownership, is familiar with the way that the club works, and bleeds blue, and will fight and give everything for the club? Why not take a chance on him?
Because if you get this wrong, you are in a position where no amount of money in the world can fix the wrongs of the next 2 years, because you can't spend it. So if you bring him in and he fails, you can't just be like, oh man, we really want to be good again. Here's $300 million we're going to throw at players to be good. You have to bring in somebody that is going to set the precedent for the next 3 years, or else you're screwed.
But here's my thing too, guys. Like, I agree with you on that. I agree, like, if he gets it wrong, there's a lot to pay. And the Solskjaer point was a good one, because you bring in a guy that's familiar with the club and is a club legend, and he has a hot start, and then he fades out. So
yeah, and he has more coaching experience than Lampard does.
Yeah, and so my pick, honestly, still, so I would love to see Lampard just for the storyline, because y'all know that I'm Team Chaos, so love Team Chaos. I think a guy that is at a club where he's getting criminally underappreciated and underfunded right now, and I've said it before on the show, is Rafa Benitez. I think bringing Benitez back to Chelsea would be a good move.
I think that Benitez would be a good choice. Maybe Eddie Howe. I think that Javi Garcia is realistically a good choice from Watford. And then also, I would potentially look at this option, but this is a conversation for another day. We could look at bringing Mourinho back. I don't think Mourinho would be the worst guy in the world to come back.
I don't think that would be a good decision to bring Jose Mourinho back into the fold here. So
I mean, look, you need someone that's going to come in and kind of give people kind of a kick.
But you need a guy that's not going to throw a fit, and he's going to be like, I don't have the players. I cannot win. I don't have the players. Like, that's true. That's exactly what he's going to say.
It just depends on it's got to be the right fit. So
I agree. So I think Eddie Howe would be a good fit.
Frank Lampard is not the right choice.
I think he could do well.
I think he will fail, not because I don't think he's a good manager, not because I don't think that he will be very good and he's an unbelievable player. Anybody in his position would fail because you just don't have the experience to manage at that level with that much pressure and that much scrutiny.
Maybe he doesn't have the experience, but he does have the respect of the club.
He does. But
He does.
It's
And
not maybe
could-
he doesn't have the
No,
experience. He does not have the experience.
But again, back to the respect. If he were to walk into the room and any of those Chelsea players that are signed right now didn't listen to him, believe me, the rest of the room would tell him to sit down.
But when he loses the first 3 games, hypothetically, and he loses the locker room, how does he doesn't have the experience to be like, how do I deal with this?
So here's my thing of why I think he's one of the best guys for the job, right? So Chelsea can't spend money. They brought in Pulisic. That's feasibly their last signing,
It's
right?
a good signing.
But feasibly their last one.
Correct.
So who is going to fill in all the gaps for the players they can't sign? Who on their roster is going to fill those gaps in?
It's got to be the younger players.
Yeah. Who grew up idolizing Frank Lampard as a Chelsea youth player, right?
Yeah.
So he's not only a manager to them, he's a legend. And so those guys are going to run through a wall for Frank Lampard. And that there's something to be said about that.
But no, and I agree with you. But at the end of the day, it's about getting results. So the question is the 16-year-old that's going to run through a wall for Frank Lampard good enough to go up in the Premier League?
But
now,
I'm not
2 years from now. Now,
I'm not talking about the 16-year-olds. I'm talking about like Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
yeah, injured.
He's out.
Yeah, that's
Almost
fair.
a full year.
Hudson-Odoi,
Like
injured.
Ross Barkley.
Out. Ross Barkley, not very good right now.
He's been
He was
okay for
okay.
Chelsea.
Yeah, he was okay.
I'm talking about Ethan Ampadu, who's a really good youth product that's coming up for them. That's a holding midfielder.
Tammy Abrams.
Yeah, Tammy Abrams will come back on loan, off
Yeah.
loan, and
We'll see.
I think they'll be okay.
We'll
So,
see. I think he'll fail.
You want them to fail. That's
Fair
why.
enough. Yeah.
I don't want Frank Lampard to fail. I want Chelsea to fail. And I'll send the guy a dozen red roses if he gets relegated.
Oh my gosh,
gonna happen.
we're kind of getting into the realm of the impossible here, boys. But let's kind of move forward here and let's get to the matches. So Travis Carmichael, while I was in Mexico, you shot me a couple texts and let me know that you were watching a lot of the Women's World Cup. So
I love
shout
it.
out to you
I
for
love it, man.
watching all the games and keeping us up to date while I'm not sitting in front of a TV in Mexico. And
Oh, you didn't end up in front of any cantinas?
no, I didn't. No cantinas. No, I was on the beach for one day for about 3 hours, and that was about it. Everything else, we were 200 yards from a beach doing hard manual labor. So it was fun, but no beaches. So Travis, fill us in. Like, how's it been going? I mean, I've caught a lot of it on Twitter, but I haven't been able to watch the games like you have. So kind of give us your feedback and let us know some of the results.
Yeah, obviously we got a lot to talk about. So look, the first and foremost, this is what I'll say, and I tell the kids I coach all the time, this is, doesn't matter if it's U20, doesn't matter if it's the women's game, doesn't matter if it's the men's game, it's a World Cup. It's a World Cup, man, and you have to watch it. I'll kind of run through some results. I'm going to save the very first result to the end because I want to talk to you guys and get a decision out of you guys. See
Fair
some
enough.
controversy. So we kind of move along here. China beat South Africa 1-0. China losing to Germany in the first game, so kind of bouncing back. South Africa, the ladies fought hard in that one, but China, obviously, a very good side. Japan beat Scotland 2-1, bouncing back after drawing Argentina 0-0. Scotland, both 2-1 losses in this tournament, but
Woof.
Japan and England, both good sides, so nothing to be ashamed of for Scotland there. Italy, with an absolute just demolishing of the Reggae girls. Italy beats Jamaica 5-0. There was a hat trick in that one as well, so a lot of good quality goals from Italy. They're looking very strong. England beats Argentina 1-0. The biggest kind of note here from this game is, first off, Argentina's been incredible. Tie Japan 0-0, lose to England by only a goal. England made 4 changes in this one, including 3 of their center midfielders and their goalkeeper. So Neville is obviously the coach. He's been doing a good job, so we'll see kind of what happens there.
Yeah, and I wanted to just highlight on that game in particular. So it was the 11-year anniversary of England star Fran Kirby's mother passing away. And so some nice words shared with her and Phil Neville during that match. And great moment. You can look that up on Twitter. So you can really, really tell the camaraderie of this England team. And a lot of pundits are out there saying that this is the best women's team that England's ever had. So I'm excited to keep watching them progress in this tournament.
Yeah, obviously this is one of the things where it was one of my picks to potentially be, the first one to win the cycle for the men and the women, win the World Cup same cycle. Yeah, so moving on, let's see. The Netherlands beat Cameroon 3-1. Obviously, England with their second win of the tournament, Netherlands as well, so both of them have qualified for the round of 16. Canada beating New Zealand 2-0. They have also qualified for the round of 16 after winning their first match 1-0. Sweden beats Thailand 5-1. 5-1. Thailand, congratulations, getting their first goal in the Women's World Cup. Obviously, their first appearance at the Women's World Cup. So, this was the game, and I want to get your opinion on it here. So the game we skipped was Australia-Brazil.
Okay.
So Brazil goes up 2-0 on Australia. Looks real good. Marta finally back in the side.
Yep.
Plays again, scores a really good penalty. And then Australia kind of pulls one back. Then they get a second. And then at the very end, they ended up winning 3-2, but the goal was not without controversy. If you didn't see the game, the ball was served in. Kerr, one of the best forwards in the world, was in an offside position when the ball was served. The center back goes up to clear the ball, kind of flicks it into an own goal. As the flag goes up for offside after VAR. It is allowed as a goal. The goal was declared that Kerr was not in an offside position and at the same time influencing the game.
So the decision wasn't that she wasn't in an offside position.
Yeah.
So she was.
She was, but she was not. She did not. They deemed that she did not have an impact on the center back's decision to head the ball.
Okay. So what's your question for us then?
Agree, disagree?
I agree. I think it's clear that she wasn't touching either of the two center backs.
Was it clear and obvious?
Yeah, that's why it was overturned. So she wasn't touching either of the two center backs. I think the fault here is from the farthest center back, the far post center back from where the ball came in, because you have to shout. You have to let your player know, hey, mine, or hey, she's offside. Let it go.
So if you're a center back behind a first center back, you're going to yell, hey, leave it, she's offside in a game.
I think you got to let your partner know.
That's the new expectation. Hey, don't touch the ball because she's in an offside position, because if you do touch the ball, it's going to be a goal.
Okay.
That's the new expectation?
Regardless of that, Kerr did not interfere physically with either of the two center backs. She didn't touch him.
It doesn't matter. The fact that
did she make contact on the ball?
No.
Was she obstructing the goalkeeper's vision?
No, but
was she obstructing the center back's ability to play the ball?
Yeah, she altered the center back's position based on the run.
But was she obstructing the center back's ability to play the ball?
No.
Then her offside is not an obstruction.
This is why you're wrong. Here we go. I'm going to explain this. So when she makes the run, when the ball is served, she's in an offside position. The center back adjusts her positioning based on that run being made. Also, when the ball is served in, if she does duck and leave the ball hits Kerr. So Kerr is in a direct position where if the ball is not touched by the front center back, that it's going to hit her, involving her in the play. The goalkeeper's reaction time is delayed based on the forward being in front of her. The center back has to check her shoulder, throwing her off. The whole movement occurs because they adjust to Kerr's starting position, which was an offside position. So offside should not have counted.
The striker for Australia was almost 2 to 3 feet behind the defender.
Clearly offside.
Clearly in an offside
when
position.
When she hit the ball with her head, she was not touching the defender.
No,
she wasn't even close.
Look, I agree
so
with
she
you.
was not obstructing the center back.
She was not obstructing the center back. She was behind. She didn't even know where she was behind her.
But the whole thing is, when Kerr makes the run, the center back knows that Kerr makes the run behind her, and in her mind, it's not her job to say, "Oh, she's onside, she's offside." That's the line's job. So when the ball is played up and that player goes back in, it's her job to try to defend the ball. And because the forward forces her to make a play on the ball, she is interrupting the center back's natural motion. That's offside. She's involved in the play.
Okay, but how can you, as a referee, and this is going to be a question that you're going to eat up, but it's true. How can you definitively say, right? Because if Kerr was in an onside position, the defender would have made the same movement, and it probably would have resulted in an own goal. So Kerr was not obstructing the defender's movement at all.
But she wasn't in an onside position. She was in an offside position when the ball was served. And that is the whole point.
But the defender would have made the same action whether Kerr was in line
or
in front. Then how can you assume that the defender wouldn't have made the same motion?
Because you can clearly see the run is altered, the step to the ball is altered based on where the forward starts. If the forward starts in an onside position, then game on. But because she's in an offside position and she affects the center back playing the ball, it is offside because she is in an offside position when the ball is played, and she has an impact on the defender's
But she
motion.
did not affect the center back
She
because she
does,
was nowhere
though,
near
with
the
her
center
run.
back.
But her run affects the center back. Because if she ducks, it hits Kerr. Kerr's offside. She's involved in the
So
play.
I'm sorry, you're a professional athlete. You're a starting center back for the Brazilian women's national team in the World Cup. Be better.
So, okay, I'm sorry.
Australia should not be punished for a mistake for
You
Brazil.
can't defend anymore. You can't tackle in the box. You can't leave your feet. You can't. You have to know exactly who's onside, who's offside. You can't have your hand anywhere close to your body. It has to be behind your back. This is ridiculous.
All I'm saying is that
the art of defending is just ruined now. It's ruined.
But all I'm saying is that Australia should not be faulted for an own goal on Brazil, right?
The whole own goal is because it's a play made that is affected by the center forward being in an offside
But
position.
that's subjective.
It's not subjective. She's offside.
It is not
She
black
went up,
and white
she
enough
it was clear.
for you to give an offside call because the forward did not touch the ball. She was not touching or obstructing the goalkeeper or the center backs. Therefore, she was not involved in the play, given the laws of the game.
She was only touching one of the center backs. The one that hit the ball, she was not touching.
So when the ball's played, is she in an offside position?
But she doesn't touch the ball or obstruct anybody.
When the ball is played, is she in an offside position? Yes, which is not an infraction yet. However, does her motion and her being in an offside position have an impact on the flight of the contact of the ball of the first defender and of the mobility of the goalkeeper? The answer to both questions
You don't know that.
is
Again,
yes.
that's subjective.
You can see
That is
it.
subjective.
Then why was it clear and obviously overturned if it's subjective? Because it wasn't clear and
Because you
obvious.
can't
'cause
clear
the
and
call-
obviously make that call.
The call on the field was offside, correctly, I might add. So how is it clear and
because
obvious to overturn the ball?
Because every single goal is reviewed, and they made a mistake.
They didn't make a mistake. It was the correct call on the field.
It was the incorrect call because she did not obstruct with the player that made a play on the ball. So it doesn't matter if she's in an offside position. She did not obstruct. She didn't obstruct the play.
Apparently, you can just stand in front of whoever you want to. Like you can go just
So
go camp out in front of the goalkeeper.
if she
and
blocked
it's
the goal,
fine.
so if she blocked the goalkeeper's movement and was in the way of the goalkeeper diving for the ball, then yeah, that's obstruction and that's offside. If she blocked the play of the play of the center back that touched the ball, yeah, that's
Look,
offside. But she didn't do either of those things.
I get, goals are entertaining, and FIFA wants people to be entertained in higher scoring games, but like this is getting ridiculous, man. With the whole VAR and defending, the FIFA has no idea what a handball is anymore. They have no idea what you are and are not allowed to challenge for in the area anymore. They have no idea what offside is anymore. So it's ridiculous. Like you can't defend anymore. Like there's just no way you can possibly win as a defender. You just can't defend. Everything is just going in favor of the attacker.
We can debate this all we want. I think this will have to be some sort of an away leg question down the line
It is
because
now.
we're all kind
I don't
of
know. You guys always talk about FC Dallas getting the nuts and bolts, so because of the VAR. So,
Yeah.
I mean it's another overturn call from VAR. So.
So moving on, before I throw a chair, we'll save it. I'll bring you back to the away leg.
kind of move it along here, son.
So the final game we're going to recap, obviously recording this on Sunday, it'll come out tomorrow, is the United States versus Chile, the second game for the United States after the 13-0 thrashing of Thailand. So they come out, they win 3-0. Obviously, Carly Lloyd gets the first one, Ertz gets the second, and Lloyd gets the third goal. 7 changes made in this one, 7 substitutions. Alex Morgan did not play. You brought a lot of people in that made their debut at the World Cup. And then the highlight here was, Carly Lloyd also missed a penalty late, again, off a VAR call that may or may not have been accurate. The big storyline here is, the 7 changes for the U.S. They still took care of Chile with a good result. The Chilean goalkeeper is unbelievable. She was the man of the match, and her team lost.
She was the woman of the match.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, the woman of the match, and her team lost 3-0. So Endler was outstanding. Obviously, plays for the PSG women. And the captain of Chile guessed right on the penalty, probably would have saved it if it was on frame. But again, the USA scores. They play really well, even though they made some substitutions, and they still celebrate as a team, and like nothing happened. But yeah, so Sweden and US have already qualified for the next round, but they do play each other to see
Seeding.
seeding and whatnot. So Mason, that is all I have for you for the Women's World Cup. However, I did, if you give me just 2 minutes of your time, I wanted to chat about the U20 World Cup final.
Yeah, of course. That's
and,
fine.
And the biggest thing, you might be sitting at home thinking, what in the world does the U20 final have to do with Austin, Texas in a podcast? I'm going to tell you right now, because Ismail Elfaf, Austin's own, refereed the U20 final.
You're darn right he did.
And he was unbelievable. He had a phenomenal game. Refed it very well. Obviously, South Korea versus Ukraine. South Korea went 1-0 up off a decision that was made via VAR for a penalty. Good job for the refereeing staff to go to VAR and call that penalty. Ukraine, very interesting. They decided to start a forward. Their normal number 9 was, they chose to leave him off, and they brought on a forward that had not scored the entire time in the tournament. Scores 2 goals.
Of course.
Unbelievable from Ukraine. And then the third goal is just sensational. A nice inside-outside touch, and just accelerated past the guy and just flew and put it in the corner. So congratulations to Ukraine, their first ever U20 World Cup champions.
Yeah, what I'm most excited about this U20 World Cup is we all know that the Euros are next year. So I'm excited to see a lot of these Ukraine guys get an opportunity. If, of course, Ukraine do qualify for the Euros, I'm excited to see these young guns get an opportunity to go up to the next level. Of course, guys like Oleksandr Zinchenko are young Ukrainian players, so I'm excited to see. And then mixing in with the older stars like Konoplyanka and some of their other good players there. So it's a lot to be excited about. First time really to be excited as a Ukraine fan since Shevchenko retired. So
yeah,
excited there. But yeah, so thank you, Travis, for giving us a recap of that. Guys, for more U20 review and more action, you can always look that up or write us a question about it. We'd love to talk to you about it. Of course, get at us in our mailbag section, our email 90minuteboxboxradio.com, and we'd love to answer that for you. But boys, I want to move on to the Copa America. Match day 1 happened over the past couple days to kick it off. So we're going to run through some scores here. Brazil kicked off the group stage with a 3-0 win over Bolivia. Of course, Venezuela, Peru tied 0-0.
Vamos, Venezuela! Alejandro Moreno, shout out to him, my man.
Oh, my gosh. Paraguay, the stunner here, Paraguay 2, Qatar 2. Of course, Qatar, an invitee to the tournament.
I think Qatar's going to be good.
Yeah, I think so, too. They looked really, really good in the Asian Cup. I think they won it this past year, so shout out to them. And then Uruguay, a 4-0 thrashing of Ecuador. And if you have not seen Nico Ladero's goal in that game, it is a peach. Go on the Twitter box and look that up, as Darth would say. And then, of course, Japan plays Chile in the last match day 1 game tomorrow at 6 to Japan, another invitee. But guys, the game I wanted to focus in on, mighty Argentina, after their up again, down again World Cup run last summer, fell 2-0 to Colombia, and it was some of the worst soccer I've ever seen played from Argentina. It was terrible.
I'm going to say this. I think defensively they actually look good for the first half. Obviously, you have some interesting defensive choices. You have Otamendi in there that plays for City. You have the goalkeeper who's the River Plate goalkeeper.
Armani, yeah.
Armani. They haven't had a good 6 since Mascherano.
Yeah, they really haven't. I mean, Paredes is a pretty good player, but other than that, their midfield looks kind of lackluster. And then, guys, please, we wanted to talk about it on this show, but it's just way too big of a topic to cover in the amount of time we have here. So on Wednesday, for our away leg, we're going to be talking about, is Argentina better with or without Lionel Messi in the starting lineup? So please tune in on Wednesday, because I want so bad to answer that right now, but it's going to be a long debate. So really looking forward to that. I'll let you know right now that Argentina was terrible in this game.
They were not good, but I mean, let's be honest here. Neymarless Brazil, and with Argentina struggling, Colombia was one of the favorites to potentially win the tournament. Yeah. I mean, you look at this team is very strong. You got Ospina in goal, you got Mina, and you have Davinson Sanchez as the center backs. James Rodriguez, a lot to play for, trying to get, a contract somewhere other than Madrid after Bayern sent him back and said they don't really want him. Cuadrado looked very good. Martinez came on after the injury and got the game, what would be the game-winning goal. Obviously, Falcao looked like he was in good form. So this Colombia side is very good, man.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking forward to see them throughout the rest of the tournament, but definitely bad news here for Argentina. Producer Chris, what do you think about the Copa America as a tournament, and in whole? Like, are there any players that you're excited about to watch within the tournament? Are there any teams you're looking at that you're excited about? Like, give us your thoughts on this tournament.
I'm liking Uruguay.
Yeah.
I really am liking Uruguay. I think that with a 4-0 win over Ecuador, that's really something to look at. I think that the Argentina loss is huge. Not necessarily for the team, but more so for Messi. And again, we'll go back to that on Wednesday. Brazil 3-0 without Neymar, which is kind of nice to see.
Yeah, but they struggled the first half.
But at the same time without Neymar. So I kind of like that. But going back to Uruguay, I think that they're my favorites. They've won it, I believe, 7 times total.
Yeah.
Right behind Argentina. And I don't think that Argentina is going to win it this year just based on the performance that they had this weekend. But other than that, I mean, I feel that Uruguay is going to take it just because of their squad. It'll probably be like Uruguay-Colombia in the end.
So prediction there for Chris. Mason, I'm going to ask you, what's your prediction? Are you going to take Brazil, Argentina, or the field?
The field.
I agree. I think Colombia will take it.
I think I'm agree with Chris, actually. I think Uruguay will take it.
Really?
I'm glad to see Nico Lodero back in the 11. I think their midfield is among some of the strongest in the tournament. I think the partnership of Suarez and Cavani, they're finally figuring out how to play up top together. And then their back line is really interesting to me. So Maxi Pereira's kind of aged and phased out. So you've got Martin Caceres, who is normally playing as left back for them, playing as right back. You've got Jimenez and Godin, who formed that pretty formidable club partnership at Madrid, but we find out that Godin's going to be leaving at the end of this, or now is the end of the season, so he's going to be leaving.
Inter Milan, correct?
Yes, Inter Milan. And then Diego Laxalt is playing as a left back. He plays for AC Milan, and I'm glad to see him getting reps. He started out his career as a winger or a wing back, and I think he's going to really, really thrive in that left back position. So this Uruguay team looks really, really good to me.
Yeah, they look solid all the way around.
Yeah,
they really
I agree.
do, yeah.
For sure. Guys, again, Copa America is just getting started. Of course, there's a game tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Time, so keep your eyes on that tournament. But we're going to kind of end our show here with the tournament that is closest to home. And, of course, the U.S. has not kicked off in the tournament yet. They will play their first match on Tuesday at 9 p.m. against Guyana. But I want to run through the results of the Gold Cup that we have so far, boys. So Mexico thrashed Cuba 7-0.
So watching this one, anytime you look at the Cubans come on the field and the goalkeeper's wearing a yellow jersey, black shorts, and green socks, it's probably not going to go.
rough,
It's probably not going to go well for that guy. If he can't even match on the jersey there, it's probably not going to go well on the scoreline.
Yeah, and then Haiti beat Bermuda 2-1 today. New York Red Bulls product Derek Etienne Jr. had a really, really good match coming off the bench for them. And then right now, currently, as we record, Costa Rica is up 3-0 on Nicaragua.
Vamos, Nicaragua.
At halftime. So looks like they're going to be good. Of course, games coming up, Curacao versus El Salvador, Jamaica versus Honduras, Panama versus Trinidad and Tobago. I can't really say that name without cringing still. And then, of course, the U.S. playing Guyana. But, boys, the biggest match that I wanted to highlight this week was I was in Mexico for a week, and we had a lot of stuff that we were doing down there, so I really wasn't able to watch very much soccer, as sad as that is. But I got to watch, when I got back on Saturday night, I got to watch the entirety of Canada versus Martinique, and boy, howdy, was this a good game. So the weirdest thing about this game, did y'all see the lineup before the game?
No, enlighten us.
So it's really interesting from Canada. So they started 2 natural defenders on the field, and one of them plays as a wingback for his club, and that was Godinho. Godinho plays as like kind of a right wing back for over in Scotland. I think he plays for Hearts of Midlothian as their right wing back, and then it's either Hearts or Aberdeen that he plays for. And I was looking at this lineup. I'm like, what the heck are they going to trot out? So Canada arguably took their best 2 midfielders and said, you know what, we're going to play you as fullbacks. So they took.
I like Canada. That's some Travis Carmichael stuff right there.
On the FIFA. So Mark Anthony Kaye, of course, of Los Angeles Football Club, played left back.
I love it.
Atiba Hutchinson, the most decorated Canadian player of all time, of course, playing his footy over at Besiktas in Turkey, the 35-year-old started as a center back next to Cornelius. And he had a great game. He was phenomenal. Like, putting out fires, and the way they played was brilliant. So anytime one of the center backs needed to step up into the midfield to put pressure on the ball, it was Hutchinson. Hutchinson would step up, and Cornelius would hang back. Same thing. So Mark-Anthony Kai played a lot closer to Cornelius, and Godinho was the one that was attacking
So it
up and down
almost
the
into
flank.
a back three that
Exactly.
shifted over, and he
Yeah.
kind of played right midfielder.
For sure, yeah, that's how it looked. And then they put Alfonso Davies on the right, and he cut it on
Did
his
you just
left
call
foot.
him Fonzie?
That's his nickname.
Oh,
Junior Hoylett on the left, which he had a goal, and
he's
this
good.
one.
I like him.
And of course, that meant Samuel Piet and Captain Scott Arfield as the center midfielders, Osorio as the 10. But the most interesting part of this lineup for me is not that Justin David started, who's been phenomenal playing over, I want to say he's either playing in Belgium or Norway currently, but he's had a phenomenal season over there. Not that he started, but that he started as the lone number 9, because on the bench for Canada, they have Lucas Cavallini of Pachuca,
Wow.
and Kyle Larin of Besiktas, both of whom, Kyle Larin didn't even touch the field in this one. Lucas Cavallini came off the bench. But don't think that Justin David was kind of a placeholder because these guys were picking up a knock or something like that. Justin David had a brace. He
There you
played
go, man.
super well, and I love this kid. He's been amazing. So props to Canada. Props to Herdman, who's their coach, which we as fans should not have been surprised, because when he coached the women's national team, he was very, very infamous for playing midfielders in the back. So I saw this on Twitter, but if you're a young Canadian player, please think about switching to a defender, because your country needs you. So if you want to go pro in Canada, be a defender, because that's the one position they're lacking, because they're having to play Mark-Anthony Kai, who's arguably one of the best midfielders in Major League Soccer. He's great at attacking. He puts out a lot of fires on defense. They're playing him at left back because literally they have nobody else. And then they're playing they're arguably their best holding midfielder as a center back as well, into Atiba Hutchinson, which I'm less mad about there because he's 35.
Yeah, it's good for the age.
Yeah,
but
he's-
also, you're right. I mean, he is the most decorated player potentially in Canadian history.
Yeah, so a lot to look out for there. So I really, really enjoyed that game, boys, and I'm really, really excited for the Gold Cup. But the other thing I wanted to highlight, and I want y'all's opinions on this. So Dwayne Holmes of the U.S. men's national team pulled out of the national team camp with injury. Of course, for those of y'all listening at home, if Dwayne Holmes doesn't sound like a household name yet, give us a minute, because he will. He plays for Derby County, was on that team that made the championship final as one of their box-to-box / attacking midfielders. He was the only bright spot, really, of that loss against Jamaica, and he's yet another player that's gone down with an injury. So now we have Tyler Adams, John Anthony Brooks, DeAndre Yedlin, and Dwayne Holmes, all of whom will be presumed either starters or fringe players in the roster, all of whom have gone down to injury right either before or during this cycle for the Gold Cup. So, boys, my question to you is, they brought in Georgi Mihailovic to replace him. If you are Greg Berhalter, who do you start in his place?
Yeah, and also a quick note, because we weren't able to get to it, obviously talking a lot of Women's World Cup, but Tyler Adams, obviously, like he said, with the injury. Reggie Cannon, FC Dallas's Reggie Cannon.
Yep, he's in.
Being called in, which I think is stupid because he should have been there in the first place. Reggie Cannon, an unbelievable player. So the only surprise for me is that he was called up only due to injury. I think Pulisic will play as a 10.
I agree.
I think Bradley and McKennie will play as Bradley like a 6 and McKennie like a 6-8 hybrid. They'll play like a 2, and they'll let Pulisic play a true 10 in Rome, and they'll play a block underneath.
Here's my only thing is, in an ideal world,
You
that's
want Pulisic
my
wide.
mid. No. Now I want him in the middle because there's not a better option.
Right.
It's either
Oh,
him.
Leget's not a...
Well, Leget's injured. He's not playing. He didn't
fair
make the roster, or else I would have said, yeah, put Leget in there. But like, it's either him or Mihailovic at this point, right?
Yeah.
Not going to put Mihailovic there. You're daft if you think Mihailovic is ready to start in the Gold Cup for us. But I think it's worth the sacrifice. My thing is, Berhalter's not going to start Bradley.
Why not? Will Trapp.
He'll start Will Trapp.
Oh, that's a joke.
Which is terrible for me. And then the other thing for me that I want to see, so I want to see Tyler Boyd on one wing because he had great service in his game.
If you say
against
Paul
Venezuela.
Arriola.
No. So Berhalter will start Arriola. I don't want him to start Arriola. I want to see Jordan Morris on the left. I
There
want
we
to see
go.
Jordan
Now
Morris
we're getting along.
on the wing. Yeah, I know you. It's a sport. You want to see him run
No,
whatever.
J-Mo Smooth. I love me some J-Mo
and
Smooth.
I want to see Altidore up front.
At this point, I'm not a big Altidore fan, but at this point,
He's the best striker we have in the player pool.
Currently, yes. In 3 years, Sargent will be the best.
Yeah.
But which don't even get me started on Josh
Yeah.
Sargent. But
And then as far as the back line goes, I've had some conversations with some people about this week. I mean, in Mexico, I was with a pretty big soccer buff, Mr. Elijah Timms. And so him and I were kind of talking about the U.S. roster. And I honestly want to see Cannon jump right into the starting 11 as the right back.
I agree. It won't happen, though.
It won't happen. I want to see Zimmerman and Miazga partnered together. I think Zimmerman looked much better than Aaron Long in the last friendly. And I want to see Nick Lima at left back. He plays left back for his club team. Just because he's not left-footed doesn't mean he can't play left back.
That would be nice.
And then Zach Steffen in goal.
Who do you think will be the back four?
Back four will be Lima at right back.
Yeah.
Tim
Ream at left back.
Ream at left back. And I still think Zimmerman will start over Miazga. I think he had that good, or over Long. I think he had that good of a performance.
And Omar Gonzalez is just dead in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, I hope that dude never has to touch the field for the U.S. during the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, that's all very interesting. We'll see. I think the first game won't matter. It'll start to pick up. Like I said, the Gold Cup obviously starts off really slow because the talent discrepancy is very big. But I'll ask you the same question I asked about the Copa America. U.S., Mexico, or the field?
Mexico.
You think Mexico?
I really do. They looked good.
You think they played Cuba?
But
they played.
So
I could have cleared the first ball. The center back comes in and whiffs it, and that's how they scored.
So here's what I'll say about this: the field in Copa America, in my eyes, has a lot greater chance to win than Mexico does in the Gold Cup. Does that make sense? So I think.
Yeah, because the field in Copa America is stronger.
Yeah, I think Canada has a really, really good shot of being a dark horse too.
I think Canada and Jamaica. Jamaica's my pick. I think Jamaica can get it done. Obviously, you're looking at a team that, of the past 3 Gold Cups, they've made 2 finals. And
yeah.
So I think they can get it done. And I think Jamaica and Canada, that's the 2 strongest teams they've ever put out.
That's fair enough. All right, PC, what you got? What's your pick, son?
I'm taking the field.
The field?
I'm taking the field.
Interesting.
I can't really see anything definitive yet just because, one, it's the first day, and 2, a lot of these weaker teams, they're really showing their, their
it's
true
not good,
selves.
is it?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know until maybe the second or third day, second or third match day. But, for me, I just think that, the field is, as of right now, it's kind of a toss-up. But, that's just me.
Yeah, and guys, I think it's going to be an exciting tournament to watch. I'm very, very apprehensive as a U.S. fan, which I think we all should be. So don't put too much stock into this team for the Gold Cup. Remember, we're still growing. We're still learning. So really, really great topics today, guys. Really, really glad to be back in the States talking with you guys. Glad to be back on the show. Of course, you can listen to us on all of your favorite streaming services. We got Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now we're on YouTube. You can follow us on all of our social medias and hit us up with any questions, comments, or reactions to the show. Twitter is at @B_2B_radio. Instagram, box_radio. Facebook, really, really simple, Box Radio. And of course, our email, 90min@boxradio.com. Shout out again to Sincerely Yours Music. I know I didn't plug them at the beginning of the show, but Travis actually got to hang out with him this weekend at one of our best
Absolute
buddies'
legend
bachelor parties. So mazel to Mr. Tony Wilkins on getting married this weekend. So Travis and I will be there on Saturday. We'll try and be streaming some games on our phone while we're there at the reception. But
100%.
Hundo P, yep. Exciting times, guys. From all of us here at Box to Box Radio, I'm Mason. We'll see y'all on Wednesday.
If I stay right by